Do you really think you're going? My dad asked, his eyes not even leaving his coffee cup. I froze in the hallway, one hand on my belly, the other clutching the invitation I'd printed just the night before. It's my baby shower, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I planned it. I booked the restaurant. I paid for the cake. He just shrugged. Yeah, well, things changed. We had a family meeting. It's now a family reunion. I blinked. A what? A reunion, he repeated, his tone indifferent. We all agreed it makes more sense this way. I looked over at my mom, who was silently arranging napkins on the table as if this conversation wasn't happening 2 feet away from her. She didn't meet my eyes. Who's we? I asked. He took a slow sip of his coffee. Me, your mom, Jake, Aunt Carol, everyone, really. And I wasn't invited to this meeting, I asked, my heart top pounding. You were busy being moody, he said, smirking. Pregnancy hormones, right. That's when it hit me they weren't just changing the event. They were kicking me out of my own celebration. So, you're telling me I'm not invited? I asked, my voice shaking slightly. He set his mug down. Exactly. You're not. It's for the family. We didn't want drama. My jaw tightened. Because I'm the drama. My mom finally spoke up, her voice soft, almost like poison in a cup of tea. Maybe it's better this way. Less pressure for you. Less pressure. I had spent weeks planning, this ordering. A pink cake with little gold booties on top. Booking a restaurant they liked, not me. Sending out invitations. I'd done all of this because, against my better judgment, I wanted this to be a family event. And now, I wasn't even allowed to show up. Fine, I said, my voice cold and quiet. I'll send the gift ahead. You know, the one with my daughter's name on it. You do that, my dad muttered, already scrolling through his phone. Just don't show up. It's not about you anymore. I nodded, my hands shaking as I walked out of the house. I promised myself one thing, could have, their little reunion. But I wasn't going to disappear the way they expected. Not this time. The first time my family made me feel like I was disposable was when I was 16. It was Christmas morning. Jake got a new iPhone, and I got a scarf. Not a nice scarf, but one my mom found on in.clearance.bin. I remember holding it, still in the store's plastic bag, thinking they must have forgotten to wrap mine. That was how invisible I was. But I told myself it didn't matter. I wasn't a kid anymore. It didn't matter if they forgot me. But turns out, I was wrong. It always mattered. All my life. I was the one who didn't complain, the one who picked up after everyone, who offered to help, who gave without asking for anything in return. Especially when Jake messed up. Like when he got his girlfriend pregnant at 19 and vanished for 2 weeks. Guess who paid for her? Prenatal checkups. Me. Or when he dropped out of college halfway through the semester, after our parents had already paid the tuition. They blamed the school for not supporting him emotionally. Again, it was me they called. Your brother is struggling, honey. Can you lend us some money until we figure things out? That. Just until turned into 3 years. I paid their mortgage one winter when Dad forgot to budget for heating. I bought groceries more times than I could count. When Jake lost his job at the warehouse, because he didn't like the manager, guess who covered his phone bill? So, he could keep looking for work. Me. Every single time. Not because I had extra money, but because I thought if I kept showing up, they'd eventually see me. Appreciate me. Spoiler alert, they didn't. When I announced I was pregnant, my mom didn't even say congratulations. She stared at the ultrasound photo and said, I guess this means we won't be seeing you much at family dinners. And Dad, he muttered, are you sure this is a good idea? Jake. He texted me a gif of a crying baby with the message, better you than me. But when his girlfriend got pregnant with their third kid, everyone threw them a surprise. Baby shower with balloons, gifts, and a backyard buffet. When I asked about mine, Mom said, oh, sweetie, there's just too much going on this month. So I planned it myself. I saved up, booked the restaurant, ordered the cake, sent invitations, bought little dot pink candles and napkins, and the exact blush-colored centerpieces my mom had once used for a cousin's wedding. And still, I wasn't allowed to show up. They turned it into a family reunion because, according to them, I had made it all about me. As if a baby shower wasn't supposed to be about the baby. But the real bombshell came 3 days after they told me I was uninvited. Jake called. His voice was casual, like nothing had happened. Hey, do you think you could still bring the baby gifts you promised? Kelly really wanted that diaper bag from your list. I laughed out loud. You want me to send a gift for a shower I was banned from? It's not your shower anymore, he said. It's for the whole family now. Everyone's bringing something. I almost dropped my phone. I'm not part of everyone anymore. Remember, there was a long pause. Then he said, Look, point, it's not personal. You've just been kind of distant lately. You don't come around. You act like you're better than us. I bit back the scream building in my chest. I act like I'm better, I said slowly, each word deliberate. I've given this family everything: money, time, patience. And all I wanted was one day, one day to celebrate my daughter. And you couldn't even give me that. Jake sighed like I was exhausting him. You always make everything about you. That's why nobody wants you around anymore. Then he hung up. I sat on the couch, shaking. Not from sadness, from raw rage. For the next 24 hours, I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I just made a list. A literal list of everything I had ever given this family. Money I'd loaned. Events I'd covered. Gifts. Rent. Bills. Babysitting. Over $11,000 in the last 5 years. And not once had they said thank you. Not once. Had they offered to help me in return. Not when I broke my ankle and needed a ride to physiotherapy. Not when I had to move out of my apartment overnight because of a gas leak. Not when my car broke down on the way to work. And I missed 2 weeks of pay. But the worst part, I was still expected to send gifts, to shut up, to be the bigger person. Because if I ever stood up for myself, I was starting drama. I was supposed to smile while they disrespected me, pretend I wasn't in pain, be a team player while sitting on the bench. That's when I knew something had to change. And it was going to start at that so-called family reunion. I boxed up the gift I had, bought for the original baby shower, a handmade memory book with a pink satin ribbon, and included a letter. Then I arranged for it to be delivered straight to the restaurant right on time for the celebration. I didn't sign the letter, but I made sure they knew it was from me, and that was only part one of my plan. The evening was supposed to be perfect. The tables were draped in blush linens, each one dotted with glittery heart confetti. People were laughing, clinking glasses, and posing for selfies under a banner that read, Welcome, baby, Isla. From the outside, it all looked like a celebration just the way they wanted it. Except they didn't know the mother of the baby wasn't there. They didn't know that I'd been uninvited. I was home, 7 months pregnant, wearing an oversized hoodie with swollen feet propped up on the couch. The fire in my chest wasn't from the pregnancy, it was pure, unfiltered rage. And I wasn't going to let them forget what they'd done. I watched my phone, waiting for the moment. The moment when everything they thought was theirs, everything they believed they'd stolen would come back to them. The toast was first. Jake stood up, all fake charm and good boy energy, holding a champagne flute in one hand. I just want to thank everyone for coming to this special family reunion, he said, smiling broadly. It means a lot to see us all together. Again, especially during such an odd, exciting time for our family. There were murmurs of agreement, clinks of glasses, and polite applause, but I knew that wasn't the real moment. Not yet. Right as dessert was being served, a waitress approached the main table. She was holding a soft pink gift box. This just arrived, she said, politely. It has your family name on it. My mom stiffened. She reached for the box hesitantly and slowly opened the lid. Inside was a delicate handmade baby memory book, tied with a pink satin ribbon, a folded letter, and a small note card with a shiny QR code on it. Is this from her? Aunt Louisa asked, leaning in to get a better look. My mom didn't say anything. She just stared at the contents, her hand trembling slightly. Jake cleared his throat. I think she just wanted to send something since she wasn't feeling well enough to come. Today, the hostess, unaware of the tension, stepped forward with a microphone and smiled brightly. What a lovely surprise. It seems we have a special message. Let's see it together. She nodded to the tech team. The lights dimmed slightly, and a soft chime echoed through the room. Then the projector screen behind Jake flickered to life. The dock crowd fell silent. There I was, sitting in a sunlit room, calm and direct. Alone. Hi, everyone, I began. I just wanted to thank you for attending the baby shower that I wasn't allowed to attend. A ripple of confusion passed through the crowd. Guests shifted in their seats, murmurs spreading like wildfire. If you're confused, I continued, keeping my voice steady, ask my father. He voted me out. Ask my brother Jake, who told me I'm not family anymore. The room was still, too still. People are sitting in the venue I booked, eating the cake I ordered, watching the fireworks I paid for. I looked straight into the camera, speaking directly to them all. Aunt Louisa turned her head toward my mom, whose face was ashen, her eyes fixed on the floor. So enjoy it, I said, my voice still calm. Because this is the last time I pay for my own exclusion. Then, the screen switched to an image of Isla's ultrasound. A note appeared beneath it. Isla Rose, due May 28th. Her mom fought for her before she was even born. The last line of the video came up, bold and clear, next time. I'll be somewhere I'm loved. The screen went black, dead silence followed, and then, a second later, white letters appeared on the screen. Turn around. Guests shifted in their seats, looking around, unsure of what to do. Then, outside the restaurant windows, the sky suddenly burst into light pink fireworks. One by one, soft rose and blush explosions filled the night sky. A final, heart-shaped flare sparkled above the trees before fading into nothing. No one said a word, but they understood. They understood exactly who had planned this. All of it. Jake slammed his glass down on the table, his voice a mixture of disbelief and fury. Are you serious right now? She did this. My dad stood slowly, his face pale. Who gave permission for that video to be played? The hostess blinked. There was a QR code on the gift box. We thought it was part of the toast. Guests looked at each other in confusion. Someone finally asked, wait, so she paid for this whole thing? My mom stood up shakily, her eyes darting around the room. It was just a misunderstanding, she began, trying to save face. But before she could continue, a sharp voice cut through the air. I believe we have a bigger problem, the restaurant owner said, stepping forward. He was wearing a sleek gray suit, holding a tablet, calm and precise. This event was partially prepaid by the woman whose video you just watched. The remaining balance was to be settled today. Jake scoffed. Well, she's not here. Guess it's on the house now. The owner raised an eyebrow. No, it's on the people who excluded her from her own event. He looked directly at my father and brother. I'll be refunding every dollar she paid, and I'm holding you responsible for the full bill. He handed over a folded invoice, $6.47 TWO. No discount, no apologies. Jake's jaw dropped. We don't have that kind of money. My mother panicked. We thought she was paying. She organized it all. The owner's voice grew sharp. You used her, then cut her out. I've seen it before, entitled families who think kindness is currency. They can steal this time. You're paying the price, he added. This video was also recorded on our event camera, just so we're clear. If payment isn't made, you'll be hearing from my attorney. One by one, the guests began to leave, quiet, embarrassed, ashamed. Some whispered, wait, so she wasn't invited. Others walked straight past my family without even saying goodbye. Jake stood frozen, the invoice in his hand. My father refused to look at anyone. My mom, now pale, sat down, her face as white as paper. In the end, they were left with cake no one wanted, a bill they couldn't afford, and a truth they couldn't bury anymore. And me. I closed my laptop, letting the silence settle. My daughter kicked gently in my belly. I whispered, that was for us. I didn't expect peace not right away, but I didn't expect this either. The next morning, my inbox was full. Missed calls, voice, messages, panicked texts all from my family, all in full meltdown mode. Jake, are you proud of yourself? You humiliated us in front of everyone. They made us pay the whole bill. Dad's furious. Mom cried all night. Mom, sweetheart, I think we should talk. You went too far. I know we made mistakes, but that was cruel. Dad, nothing. Just a single text with a photo of the $6.47 STWO invoice and the caption, hope it was worth it. I didn't reply. I knew they weren't sorry for what they did. They were sorry they got caught. But here's the twist, they didn't pay the restaurant bill. That night, they couldn't. Jake's credit card bounced. My father tried calling his golf buddy, who owned a chain of used car lots, but he didn't answer. My mom begged the manager to give them a few more days. The owner wasn't having it. He gave them 24 hours, or the footage, my speech, their reaction. The guest exodus would be posted to the restaurant's official social media as a statement of values. We do not support events that exclude pregnant women from their own celebrations. My brother panicked. My father threatened to sue. The owner smiled and said, please do. I'd love to. Show the judge the footage. So, they turned to the only person they thought might help, Jake called. His ex, Kelly, the mother of his 2 sons. The woman he'd left 6 months ago for needing too much. The same woman I had secretly supported financially when Jake was jobless. And here's where the twist hit like a train. Kelly paid the bill in full, using money I had once given her for school, supplies, rent, groceries. Money she had secretly saved over the years in case Jake ever came crawling back. She walked into the restaurant the next day, paid, got a receipt, and then, in front of the owner, she said, please note, this payment clears the debt of the event. It does not clear their behavior. Also, if Jake tries to say I owe him anything ever again, I will personally leak the photos of him crying in the car that night. Then she left, and she sent me a message. I paid the bill because they humiliated you, not because they deserve it. I've got your back now. Always. Did. That broke me in the best way. Meanwhile, back in disaster land, my parents were reeling. They had to cancel their spring vacation to rebuild trust with the community. Translation people started distancing themselves. Aunt Louisa ghosted them. The neighbors suddenly had too much on their plate. Even the priest from our old parish sent them a passive-aggressive email about acts of exclusion. Jake. He got fired. Why? Turns out one of his co-workers was at the restaurant that night. Saw the whole thing. Recorded the video from the screen, and shared it in a company group chat with the caption, this guy calls himself a family man. Jake was out by Monday. He blamed me, of course. Called me a backstabber, a traitor. Told everyone I'd set him up. But the truth, he set himself up the moment he voted me out of my own baby shower. And me, I slept really slept. No knots in my stomach. No 3 a.m. guilt spirals. No panic attacks from incoming calls. I went for walks, read books on gentle parenting, bought tiny socks for Isla and cried when I held them. And for the first time, I didn't feel alone. Because now, when people reached out, they weren't saying, come, fix your family. They were saying, thank you for standing up. One woman, a cousin I barely knew, messaged me. You gave me courage. I left my toxic family group chat today. Also, those fireworks. Iconic. The final twist. A week later, I got a call from the restaurant owner. He wanted to Invite me, just me, back to the venue. When I arrived, there was a small private table set up by the window. Tea, cake, a little vase with a note, card that read, "To the mother," who reminded everyone what dignity looks like. "Lunch is on us. Congratulations." I smiled, took a sip of tea, and whispered to myself, "That's the only shower I needed." People always ask me why my family struggled so much. They had a house, jobs, decent cars, so why were they always borrowing, begging, and falling behind on bills? Let me tell you something. They weren't broke, they were reckless, they were selfish. They were addicted not to drugs or alcohol, but to living beyond their means and making someone else pay for the fallout. My dad had 4 credit cards, all maxed out. Not for survival, no. It was for status. A new grill every summer, watches he never wore, golf memberships he never used. He bought a second flat screen TV for his garage just because. Jake had 2 streaming subscriptions for his dog because it calmed him when I wasn't around. I'm not kidding. My mom, QVC's favorite customer. You know those decorative ceramic angels that people put on mantles? She had 48 of them when I was a kid. I thought they were magical. Turns out, they were just overpriced, non-refundable lies. And the real reason they always needed me. They never planned for anything. Car insurance lapsed. "Can you cover it this month, Jake? Overdrafted again. Your brother's in a tough spot, Mom. Forgot the electricity bill for the 3rd time in a year. We just need you to help. Just this once." It was always just once. Until it wasn't. After the fallout at the restaurant, I found something that made my stomach turn. I was at my OB appointment, showing the receptionist my new insurance card, when the system flagged a duplicate entry. Apparently, I had a secondary policy listed, one I had never signed up for. Guess who opened it? My mom. She used my social security number, forged my signature, and added herself as a dependent. She'd been getting dental work and prescription discounts under my name. I stood there in the clinic lobby, holding my stomach, shaking, and suddenly, it all clicked. The endless need, the bottomless guilt trips, the way they reacted when I said no as if I'd stolen from them. They weren't just entitled, they were used to taking. But here's the part that surprised me. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I smiled. Because for the first time in my life, the truth was louder than their lies. I filed a fraud report. I froze my credit. I scrubbed everything clean. When the investigator asked if I wanted to press charges, I said, "No, I want them to know I could. And that next time, I will." 2 weeks later, Jake showed up at my door again, this time with plastic flowers. "I just thought maybe we could start over," he said, scratching his neck. "You know, like family again." I stared at him. "No." He blinked. "Just no. Just no." No explanation, no speech, just no. He left the flowers on the ground, but I didn't pick them up. Later that night, I had dinner with Kelly. She told me something that almost made me spit out my tea. "I wasn't the first girl he got pregnant," she said casually. I stared at her. "What? High school. His ex. She didn't keep it. But he never told your parents. He said it would ruin his golden boy image." I leaned back, stunned. "How do you know?" He told me during one of his emotional breakdowns. Said, "At least my sister's still more naive than me. She keeps covering for him." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Because that version of me, the one who kept paying, kept giving, was gone. My baby's room is quiet now, peaceful. Sunlight hits the crib in the morning, and for a second, I almost forget what it felt like to be erased. Then I remember how they called me selfish, how they laughed at me behind my back, how they devoured my generosity like it was owed, and turned on me the moment I asked for something in return. And how, now they're alone. I don't know what happened. To the angels on the mantle, I don't care. But I know this: they weren't victims of hard times. They were builders of bad choices. They buried their shame under fake birthdays, fancy centerpieces, and empty gestures. And when the curtain fell, and the spotlight hit the empty chair where I should have sat, they realized too late that the woman they erased was the only one keeping the lights on. And now the lights are off, and I sleep just fine. The phone calls came in, steadily after that texts, voicemails, desperate messages. They were, all trying to fix things, trying to shift the blame. But I didn't want to hear it anymore. I had done the hard part. I had said no. And, for the first time in my life, saying no felt good. It felt right. A week after the restaurant incident, I got another call from the owner. He wanted to invite me back, just me, to the venue. When I arrived, there was a small, private table set up by the window, tea, dot cake, a little vase with a note card that read, to the mother who reminded everyone what dignity looks like. Lunch is on us. Congratulations. I smiled. It felt surreal. I took a sip of the tea, savoring the moment. And as I sat there, in peace, with Isla kicking gently inside me, I whispered to myself, that's the only shower I needed. People sometimes ask if I regret anything. Do I regret taking a stand? Do I wish I could have fixed things with my family? Maybe, maybe, some alternate version of reality. Things could have been different. But the truth is, I've learned more about myself in these last few months than I ever thought possible. I used to think love meant sacrifice. That love meant showing up. No matter what, even when you were being taken advantage of. But love doesn't ask you to lose yourself. It doesn't ask you to disappear so others can shine. I finally realized that love has to start with me. I used to think family was everything, but now I know that the people who truly love you will never make you feel like you're disposable. And as for the rest, the ones who use you, take from you, and throw you away when they no longer need you, I've left them behind. Because my daughter, she deserves to grow up knowing what real love is. And I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm done. Done with the guilt. Done with the manipulation. Done with the false promises. Now, I can finally breathe, and I sleep just fine.